All right, thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim-Nakran. I want to share with you some of the top stories that we are following right now. If you missed the breaking news that we have been covering for you throughout the day, just want to update you. Former University of Georgia football player is now facing charges. Again, he is wanted in connection to the fatal crash that killed a UGA staffer and fellow football player. So Athens Clarke County Police have now secured arrest warrants for Jalen Carter, the former defensive tackle for the Dogs, on charges of reckless driving and racing. They allege that this happened just moments before that crash that happened January 15th, around 2:30 in the morning, just hours after UGA's national championship parade. At the moment, Carter is not in custody. He was expected to appear at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis ahead of the NFL Draft, which is next month in late April, but is now expected to turn himself in at the Athens Clarke County Jail. Again, 2 arrest warrants issued to him for reckless driving and racing in connection with that January 15th crash, which killed 2 victims, a UGA staffer and a fellow football player as well. And I want to share with you a statement from head coach Kirby Smart related to this incident. He says, quote, "The charges announced today are deeply concerning, especially as we are struggling to cope with the devastating loss of 2 beloved members of our community. We will continue to cooperate fully with the authorities while supporting these families and assessing what we can learn from this horrible tragedy." Also want to share with you that, as we cover this story, I also spoke with a criminal defense attorney for an in-depth analysis of what we can expect in terms of timeline, what prosecution of this case might look like, and what Carter's defense might look like. And I'm going to share part of that interview coming up on Atlanta News First at 4 o'clock over our traditional broadcast, if you want to join us for that. Also want to share with you this story. If someone you know uses insulin, this could really be positive news for them. Eli Lilly and Company have announced price reductions for most commonly prescribed insulins. The company is also announcing the expansion of its insulin value program that caps patient out-of-pocket costs at $35 or less each month. And this announcement really builds on years of efforts by the company to close the gaps in the American healthcare system that keep some people with diabetes from being able to affordably access insulin. So certainly could be some positive news for them. Also want to share with you this story. So students pretty uneasy at Clarke Atlanta University. They're really quite nervous because the student was killed in a parking lot near the campus. A gunman still on the run right now. The victim is a student athlete, 20-year-old sophomore Jatan Sterling. And Sterling's actually from Chicago, played baseball at Clarke Atlanta. Atlanta police say the shooting happened yesterday afternoon in the parking lot near the Lighthouse Catholic Student Center on Beckwith Street. So right now police say that Sterling may have actually known the shooter, may not have been random. The university has sent their condolences to Sterling's family. Right now police do need your help finding the shooter. If you witness anything, you know anything about this crime, you are asked to please contact police. Bear with me, I just have a little technical issue I want to address. All right. Also want to turn to this story. Clayton County's most wanted fugitive, apparently behind bars 4 months after he was accidentally set free, and apparently turned himself into police. A sigh of relief for law enforcement and the community. This person was considered a danger after a clerical error allowed a man accused of murder to be out of jail for 4 months. His name is Kaiser Ulrich Suggs. And yesterday, Clayton County Sheriff's Office issued an alert notifying people he'd been walking free for the past 90 days. They were looking for him. Back in November, he actually was charged with aggravated assault, or I should say that those charges were dropped in November. He was released from the Clayton County Jail, but he was supposed to be transported to the Fulton County Jail because of those charges. In addition to burglary in the first degree, 3 counts of felony murder, home invasion in the first degree, and possession of a firearm, among other things. The Clayton County Sheriff's Office released a statement saying in part that Sheriff Allen put Kaiser Suggs on the 10 most wanted and activated his elite fugitive squad to find him. And when word got to Suggs, he posted on social media that he was going to turn himself in, and he did just that. So 2 Clayton County Sheriff's Office employees are now on administrative leave as the department investigates how this, quote, unacceptable action actually occurred here. Okay, now I want to talk about this story because it impacts student debt. Could actually wipe out, President Biden could potentially wipe out student debt for 16 million people. Supreme Court justices had the first hearing for this challenge from 6 GOP states and 2 individual borrowers yesterday. Several conservative justices pointed out the estimated $400 billion price tag. Justices really considering what's fair in this case. And we're going to kind of track the outcome. A decision is expected by the end of June. In the meantime, payments are still paused, and the White House says people are going to have to pay again 60 days after the cases are done, or the end of August, whichever is to come first here. I also want to share with you a story about airport kiosks. I was trying to find the video of those kiosks because they could be coming to airports and certainly make travel easier, ease kind of the lines, but you may have seen some of these clear kiosks at the airport, and you could see them at the State Farm Arena as well. So, you know, that's something that we're going to be watching for. This is Clear's first expansion in Georgia outside of the airport, but certainly something that could help with the lines. But thank you so much for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus. Have a great day.